Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. Coming on air a couple minutes early, but why not? It's another Arsenal win. And joining me this evening is none other than Mr. Super Kevin Campbell. Welcome to the show, Super Kev. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Glad to be back. And
awesome.
Good to be on straight after the game.
Straight after the game. Let me put my glasses on because I've got a bunch of stuff for you here. And I just want to also say to everyone at the end of the show, for the last 10 minutes, okay, we're going to take your questions for Super Kevin Campbell. So make sure that you start thinking about what you want to ask him. Here's how we're going to roll out tonight. We're going to look at the Europa League game this evening. Then we're going to touch on a couple of Arsenal pieces of news. And then we go to your questions. And then we have an announcement at the end of the show, which I think all of you will be super excited about. Okay, Super Kev. So here we go. You and a very good friend of the show, and a geezer we all love very much, Mr. Dan Potts from Same Old Arsenal. The team sheet came out and you were both kind of going back and forth about how that defense was going to line up and what role Xhaka was going to play. I'm just going to let you have the floor here when the lineup came out, what it looked like was going to happen, and then what transpired as the game started.
Yeah, I think what Dan suggested was it looks like Xhaka's going to play in the back. And obviously, I don't want Xhaka anywhere near that defense. and there's a reason for it. I think Xhaka, he's a one-way player. He's good going that one way, but anytime it goes behind him, you see even in midfield, anybody runs off him, he grabs them or he does something crazy. And I just don't like him. It happened against Leicester, where Cengiz Under got behind him. And it's easy to run off Xhaka. I don't like him anywhere near that back lot. So that was the argument. Kind of, we're having a little bit of banter about it. And obviously, it comes out that Xhaka's playing in the back. He's playing in the back three or whatever. I was like, no, please no. And but look, it transpired that Arteta soon saw sense.
Correct.
In the end, but we were a goal behind. By then, I suppose, but it is what it is. We got back into the game.
I think what I liked though was exactly what you just said. He saw that things weren't working. He makes these adjustments. He's not afraid to make these adjustments in game. Sometimes we complain about managers and they take too long to make changes or they make tactical adjustments. But it seemed like once we went a goal down, what I liked, Casey, is that sometimes it's important to be a team of two halves. And if you remember, kind of even with Emery, we became second half Arsenal. Remember, we underperformed in the first half. We let our opposition get the best of us a lot of the time. And I think in the second half, we bossed it. But let's just go back to the first half real quick, because I do have my questions for you. So we've got through the Xhaka position in the defense. We're happy with how that kind of panned out. It's very clear in terms of, unless you wanted to add anything to that. So then let's just get to the Molde goal. Are we going to point fingers at Leno? Here's the scoop. A lot of Arsenal fans, I think the difference that they saw in Leno versus Emi was his distribution. And the fact that Emi perhaps had a little bit more control, better with his feet, short passes and long passes. One of the complaints about Leno is that his distribution isn't as good or hasn't been as good as Emi's. I felt like in this instance, he kicked the ball out. It just went directly to a Molde player. They brought it back really super quickly. We weren't prepared in terms of we were ready to keep moving forward, whereas we had to kind of move back quickly, and they took a great shot and they scored. Did you think after his pass, after he made his pass, after that distribution, positionally he was off and it was maybe not as great a goal, but versus Leno kind of making a mistake? How did you see that?
No, that was weird. Look, sometimes the goalkeeper has to just clear his lines. He can't always find a red shirt. And, Arsenal had been messing around with it at the back and really bringing Molde onto them. So when obviously Molde were pressing pretty high, he had to clear his lines, or else you know what he's been like in Europe. He's been a bag of nerves at times, especially Rapid Vienna. He was a bag of nerves. So he cleared his lines, and that's where you need your team to rally round. You can't as soon as you turn that ball over, you rally round, and if they keep it, great. But you don't let them come back at you. I thought it was a decent shot, to be honest. Caught him unawares and ended up in the corner. I think he was gutted, to be honest, that people would look at him, but
yeah,
I thought it was a decent finish, to be honest. And if we want to be ultra critical, you could say yes, it came from him. But I didn't see much reaction in the defense. You know, when the player picks it up and he could just come inside, where was the pressure? You know, where
it was slow, wasn't it? It was all slow.
I think David Luiz was the centre one. But, you know, again, I think Xhaka was just standing there. Wouldn't put pressure on the ball. So there's a multitude of things that I'm sure Mikel Arteta will look at. And that was one of the reasons why he went, Xhaka, you move forward, because I can't have you in the back.
Yeah, we definitely pushed off slowly and then reacted slowly as well. So it was a bit of a juxtaposition in terms of trying to push out, but then the ball came back so quickly. And credit to them, I think this is a case of they took the ball back, they took the possession back pretty quickly. We didn't have time to adjust the way we should. A couple of quick passes and boom, he had a shot. And Leno maybe a little bit out of position because of that distribution. And I thought it was a good strike and a well-deserved a goal at that point. I thought that they did a really good job of containing us. I think I think we bossed it, but in a non-bossy way. Does that make sense, Casey?
Yeah, didn't we? We played too possession-wise.
Yeah,
we bossed it, but we played too slow. We didn't play forward quick enough. And against teams like this, you have to play forward. If you play forward, you could hurt the opposition. If you don't, yeah, you're struggling.
Okay, so then we get to the disallowed goal, which Eddie was onside, but Joe wasn't. No VAR. And in the end, was he interfering with play? Was that the right decision?
Yeah, I think it was the right decision, solely because when Eddie ghosted in, he ended up right beside Willock, and the linesman probably wouldn't know who put it in, if you understand what I mean.
Right.
So he's got to raise his flag because he's right there. So I'm not too worried about that. I was just pleased to see two Arsenal players trying to get on the end of a cross.
And if I can just say, kind of before we get on to, yes, we had 2 own goals, and I actually think in both situations, I think we were going to get that, especially the second one. I think there was going to be someone there. I think it was Eddie or Joe again there, ready to finish before the own goal even went in. But can we talk positionally? And I want to see it from your point of view. I thought Joe was phenomenal today. I thought he was the man of the match. I thought that he got into the positions that we've been craving, creative players to get into. He was making runs. He was fearless. And the way he was playing off the forward line, but then also I think his balance with Eddie, the two of them getting into spots, there was always a 2-on-1 situation where we were able to maybe, create a chance or make the most of the chance.
Something. Yeah, manufacture something. You make a really good point there, Sophie. Arsenal fans, you hear it all the time about we need creative players. We need, even the MO name gets mentioned, getting him back. No, he's not coming back. But the funny thing, there's creative in different ways. Now,
yes.
Willock shows you creative off the ball. He's running a bit like Ramsey did. Ramsey was very good at running without the ball. He would run beyond the strikers. And that is creating problems in itself.
Yeah.
Not only is Willock good at it, you are correct. He dovetails very well with Eddie and Ketchup because they know each other's game because they came through the ranks. So he understands Eddie's game. Eddie pulls short, Willock goes long. And there was a couple of times where he nearly got in Obviously, for the actual equaliser, it was a great move. Xhaka breaks, and Ketia goes in, cuts it back, and Willock is there. And the defender, to be fair to the defender makes a good challenge, but the momentum of the ball and the body takes it over the line just at half time, which was a good time to score. So,
and I love that. I love that we're kind of under Arteta. We're creating this identity of we don't panic, we don't give up, and then we start getting goals at important moments just before half time. I think that was key. You know, yes, there's no fans. We're playing at home. We're commanding and have been commanding so far in Europa League. So I felt like once that goal went in, KC, we were going to come out in the second half and play completely differently. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do. Also, I think sometimes it's death by a thousand cuts with this Arsenal team, because the first half, you keep it. And all the time, you know, they're containing, they're working very hard to contain us. We go in at halftime on level terms, which is fine. And if you drop off a yard, that's all they dropped in the second half, a yard off. But that gave us the momentum. And then we start playing more aggressively. We start playing forward. You got Willock running in behind. You got Pepe running in behind. You got William running in behind. You got Eddie and Nketiah running in behind. So all of a sudden, that's a lot more threats now.
So can you also kind of explain to me then, you know, against Manchester United, we were dominant, we dominated, but you said something in Kevin Says, and if you haven't seen the Kevin Says episode, please go to the YouTube channel and check it out, because when Kev started off, he loved the fact that we won, but one of the things you said that really resonated with me was we should have scored 3 or 4 against them because we were that dominant. So here we are. Of course, Molde aren't Manchester United, but after their result in Champions League yesterday, you could argue, Casey, that they're playing like a Norwegian top side, right? So what's the difference then in getting 4 goals in Europa League with that movement versus only getting the 1 goal, which was a penalty against Manchester United, even though we dominated the game? Can you kind of help me see the landscape in that one?
Yeah, I mean, look, whether we like it or not, we would like to have beaten Manchester United 4, wouldn't we? 3 or 4. But if you look at the chances were different. The chances weren't the same as they were tonight. Because Manchester United players, even though they're not playing well, they see things earlier. They see the runs earlier. They block people off earlier. So there was a couple of chances where, you know, the ball went across and Aubameyang slid in and just didn't, you know, it was just in front of him. Against Molde, if Aubameyang playing, that ball could be slower because Aubameyang could get it. But against Manchester United, you have to play it quicker. So it speeds up your timing. So that's the, at the top level, that's what happens. Everything has to be quicker because if you're slow, they'll intercept it.
Yeah. I thought the second goal, the movement for the second goal, I loved it. Xhaka's little pass, the overhead, I thought it was lovely. I thought the patience to wait for the ball to kind of come to you. I think it was it Joe that took the ball? And then either way, that's...
Ball went into Joe.
Yeah.
Joe played it to Pepe. He got it back. Then he played it into, was it Xhaka who whipped it around?
Yes.
Flicked it over for the run. And, you know, it was difficult. The defender was trying to body him and deal with the ball. And that's what that run does. He couldn't get the ball and he brings it down. He knows where Eddie is. He knows where Saka is. So he's just trying to put it in a good space. And so they finish it off. And to be fair to the defender, he got his shin in the way, but you know we were going to score anyway. But he diverted into the nets. But
yeah, because Joe and Eddie were there to finish that off. And I thought in that moment, I thought Xhaka kind of exemplified the moments why Arsenal fans like him when he kind of plays those types of passes and stuff. I thought the playing off the Willian and Pepe. There's going to be an interesting time coming up for Arteta after this international break. Obviously, we've got Aston Villa coming up this weekend, but giving Pepe the starts in Europa League, and he has that confidence that he's building now. He's got 2 goals in the last 2 games. But to me, I think one of the most exciting things when I see this kind of team play versus the Premier League, Casey, is the movement. And one of the things you and I have talked about a lot is, under Emery and early on last season, we were just poor without the ball. We weren't able to kind of impose ourselves. And now it seems like the movement, whether players have the ball or not, it seems more fluid, much more confident. Would you agree with that? And is that something you've seen as a progression under Arteta and maybe an exploration for him in, cup competitions like Europa League?
Sophie, great point. And here's the thing about the mentality of the players. In order to get movement, you've got to run. You've got to run, and you've got to want to run. That is key. Now, we're seeing the likes of Willian. We know Willian, he's supercharged. He will run. But whereas with Pepe, usually he don't run. He'll get the ball, and then he'll start making his move. We're seeing Willian and Pepe running without the ball. We're seeing Willock running without the ball. We're seeing Nketiah running without the ball. Saka comes on, he's running without the ball. This is what makes the massive difference, because you know what, Sophie, it's so hard for defenders to mark, because they might go with you once, they might go with you twice, but the 3rd time, the 4th time, the 5th time, you will get in if the ball's right and if you make the right run. So if they're making runs and everybody's making runs, how do you deal with it? It's so difficult, and Arteta has brought that in. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought also, overall, we weren't troubled too much, but when we were, I thought we handled it pretty well. I thought Leno made a couple of good saves. He recovered well after that first goal. Yeah. But the way we broke away when we did get the opportunities, it could have been 6-1, I think, in the end. You had 2 disallowed goals, I think, fairly so. But then Pepe, gets that goal, scores. I thought, again, another great move. He gets the ball and just hits it so cleanly, so clinical, and another really great confidence booster for him, right?
Yeah, you know what, Sophie? And here's the thing. You see Pepe, and there was a chance before that way. He dribbles, he cuts inside, and he has a left foot shot, and it goes wayward. Yeah?
Yeah, no, I was just checking my charge.
Yeah, he cuts in, he has a left foot shot, and it goes wayward. But that finish was a one-touch finish. That shows that his confidence was there. He was feeling good about himself. He finished it well.
Yeah.
We don't, and I agree with you on this. Sometimes we don't see it enough.
Right.
We don't see it enough because of the quality that he possesses.
Exactly.
He should be doing more because he has that ability. We talk about giving him time. Yeah, he does need time at times, but he still's got to show. And that, 2 goals in whatever many games that he's starting will be really good for his confidence, Sophie. He needs to build some a head of steam now, because very, very soon, it's going to be a year and a half, and then you're going to look at 2 seasons. So I don't want to put too much on him, but that would be a good confidence boost, scoring that lovely finish.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's definitely the kind of player that needs his arm around him. He needs that time. He needs to play regularly. But we're seeing now that, when he does have those moments, and he's also played, in the system and with the players around him that Arteta played today, it kind of took the pressure off him. Would you agree, and help me understand this one, Casey, from a tactical point of view? It felt like today, obviously, we're playing Molde, a less quality side than most of the teams in the Premier League. But it seemed like he felt less pressure having to track back today. Yeah. And there was more craft behind him. That's
right? Observation. Very good, Sophie. Because as a team, and when you play the opposition, yeah, in the Premier League, you have to double up and come back, because the teams have got so much quality in the Premier League. Whereas in this division, in this Europa, they've done their homework. They've watched the videos.
Mm-hmm.
If that back four, back five, and the midfield can't handle what Molde's got, something's wrong. So he's got a bit more of a license to frill, to go forward, to be flexible. I like the way him and William swap wings as well at times.
Me too.
I thought that was really important, because not just to get stuck out there and having to cut back on your left foot all the time. You put in a couple of lovely crosses, just getting it out of his feet and whipping it in, and utilizing his technical ability as well, keeping the ball, playing into the Eddie Nketiah's feet up front. I thought he played pretty well tonight. He wasn't man of the match. I'll give that to Willock. I thought Willock was outstanding. Ceballos was good as well, I thought. But I like Pepe. Pepe was decent tonight.
Casey, do you think there's a chance that Pepe felt less pressure today not playing with Oba and Laka? Because maybe in that system, or playing alongside those players, different things are asked of him. But today it was almost like Arteta said to him, go out and play football, be free. Do you think, as an ex-player, does that happen sometimes? You think, if I'm going to play up front with Ian Wright versus, X, does it make a difference, or not really?
Well, it shouldn't make you less confident. It should make you more confident, because you're playing with the better players.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing with the top boys. When you're playing with the top boys, all I have to do is, if I get an opportunity either to shoot or to slide them in, I'm expecting a goal. So with Eddie, it's that understanding, because he hasn't played with him a lot. But when you see what Pepe can do, for instance, in the cup semi-final against Man City and in the final against Chelsea, he knows what Oba wants. He knows what Laka wants. So I don't really see him feeling less pressure. In fact, I think there's more pressure on him, because here's the reason why. Because Eddie Nketiah hasn't got more experience than him. Willock hasn't got more experience than him. He's playing with William, he's just come to the club. William's got all the experience in the world. I think he's got 100 or over 100 European games under his belt. So obviously the onus is more on Pepe. We know what William could do, but it's Pepe. If Eddie Nketiah doesn't do well, if Willock doesn't do well, you can expect that in a certain, but you're looking for Pepe to perform, aren't you? Because it's less opposition.
Absolutely. And you're also looking for these. Here's what else I loved, which brings us to the fourth goal. Joe Willock deserved that goal, and he took it beautifully. It was just a superb way to cap a great game for him. What I loved about him, what I loved about Pepe tonight, I think what I loved more about Eddie and Joe tonight is that they really stood up and said to Arteta, we're good enough. We're good enough to play. We may be playing in Europa League against a lesser side, but you can only play who's in front of you, and how you play and impress the manager based on what they're asking of you is really important. That fourth goal as a striker, you probably appreciated that one a little bit more, huh?
Yeah, I appreciated that one, because you know what? It was a superb play, superb finish by Joe Willock. But if you remember rightly, he had a chance where he ran over the top, and David Lewis found him with a great ball. And his touch wasn't quite right, and he got it on his left foot, and he kicked himself, because he knew that was a great opportunity. But what does a good player always do? He shrugs it off and he keeps going. He keeps going, and look what happened. Opportunity came, and what an emphatic finish. Number 4. Brilliant performance, and you know what? I think he's making quite an impression on Arteta, because you can't be scoring all these goals from midfield and playing so well and running in behind and making a difference in creativity and not influence the manager.
So if we're looking at this particular game, I think first half not too great, made some adjustments. Team started kind of grinding more after going 1-0 down. Second half completely bossed it, could have scored at least 6 goals. If you're looking at any negatives from tonight, because there are lots of positives, I think, a lot of people in chat, I had Willock as man of the match. I think you had Willock and said a close second would be Ceballos. I think a lot of people are saying Ceballos bossed it in the second half. He did. He was the puppeteer. He completely controlled that game. So if there was something negative, was there anything that you could point your finger to, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, there's negatives. Look, again, I'm going to say, I don't want Xhaka anywhere near that defense. In front of it, fine. But inside that defense, please, no. Because that leaves us vulnerable. Because the opposition will look at that and say, right, listen, what we need to do is we need to get balls in and around Xhaka. And we need to get in that way. You know, they weren't of a big enough quality to really expose him. But Arteta had to adjust. That was one. Two is playing too slow. We play so slowly. We don't hurt team. You know, if we'd played in the first half, like we did in the second half, we'd have gone in probably 3-1, 3-0 up.
Mm-hmm.
But because we play so slow and we play side to side, and in the second half, we played forward. When we play forward, teams can't live with Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. But we play sideways, keep the ball, don't lose it, all this kind of thing. But we got to take risk. We take risk in the second half, and we blew them away.
Do you remember on the last show I said to you one of my concerns about, and you know I love Mikel, and you know we're on board, we're on the Mikel train, but it's okay to kind of like pick out some things that we see sometimes. Do you think? Yeah. Do you think he has, based on how he started the game and with the Xhaka role? I mentioned the last show, he has these Pep tendencies sometimes, maybe to be a bit too clever and try and put square pegs in round holes. Do you see that as a problem maybe going forward, or will he learn the way he did in this game early and make adjustments?
Sophie, listen, you got me there. You've got me on that one, love. I tell you, I don't want Xhaka anywhere near that defense more than you do, right? So let me tell you this. Yes, Mikel Arteta. I think what Mikel Arteta does, he analyzes the opposition, and he thinks to himself, right, with Granit Xhaka being on the ball in that position, he will give us such good use of the ball that he forgets he's not a defender. If you know what I mean? He forgets he's not a defender. So going forward, one way, yes, Xhaka could influence it. But I tell you what, when we don't have the ball and when we lose it, we are vulnerable. We really are. And I think that's why he really adjusted tonight. And let's have it right, Sophie. If we're vulnerable against Molde, we don't want to be messing with this in the Premier League.
No, it's a great point, Casey, and it does seem to still be a little bit of our Achilles heel, and definitely a vulnerability. And we're going to move on to a few more Arsenal stories that I wanted to get your thoughts on. But before that, there did come a couple questions, and I'd rather get these ones stuck in now, seeing as we're talking about this game. Yeah. A lot of people in chat talking about, you know, maybe Joe deserving to start. Also, Pepe, you know, throwing him out there against Aston Villa. We've seen Villa dominate Liverpool. We've seen them lose their last two games as well. They seem to have this last-minute surge in games. You know, they were losing, 4-0, 3-0 against Southampton. Pulled a couple goals back. Would you give anyone who appeared tonight a chance against Villa, is the general question from the chat room.
I thought David Luiz played well at the back. I did. No disrespect to anybody else, but I think his distribution from the back is excellent. He's very good. So that's one. You could put Pepe in. Obviously, Willian will be in and around it as well. I'd like to see Willock on the bench. I really would, because whenever the squads are named, he's probably in the squad, but he doesn't strip. He doesn't even get on the bench. So I'd like to see him on the bench, because you know what? He adds something different. He really does. His running power off the ball is something that can, if the game's tight, he gets back into midfield and does his midfield work, but he will run beyond Lacazette. And that would open up so much for Lacazette, because the centre half, if the centre half goes with Lacazette, Willock is in. So it will create a whole new problem for the opposition. But, and here's the other thing, which we haven't really seen enough of. Could Willock really function with Partey and El Nene?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's tailor-made for what they do in midfield, because Partey could do everything. El Nene has proved defensively is good, but he can play on the big stage. We know he can now. So with Willock running in behind and causing all sorts of problems, Partey doing his thing and El Nene doing his thing, hey, that might just be a recipe for good for us.
So, you and I always talk about Lacazette and how much we appreciate what he does off the ball. We've talked about him being our Firmino. Sometimes he doesn't get the love. Clearly, he's lacking in confidence. Would you sacrifice him against Villa just to see how maybe a little of that approach would play out? Do you think Arteta is willing to do that? Or do you think that Arteta knows what Laka does off the ball that some fans just can't see?
Yeah, no, I think Laka plays. I think Mikel Arteta will adjust. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't work in the first half or after an hour, I think he's more than willing to take Lacazette off and to try something else. That's what I like about Arteta. He's not afraid. But I think the best team, Arsenal's best team right now, Laka starts.
This is a big statement from Lee boy, your friend, your very good friend, Arsenal legend, Mr. Rocky Rocastle. It's a bit too early for those comparisons, but, it's good to see a young player at Arsenal making that impression with fans, isn't it, Casey?
Yeah, and it's for me, sometimes it's unfair to be compared to the great Dave Rocastle. But to even get mentioned is great too for Willock, for Joe Willock. And I like him. He doesn't say nothing. He just gets on with his football. I think Arteta made a statement about El Nene, 100% team player. He just gets on with his stuff. He does his work. That's what Joe Willock does. But I think there's coming a time now where Joe Willock is gonna need to get more involved. And I think Arteta's prepared for that. Yeah, and it's a long season. It's a long season, isn't it, Casey? We're going to see a lot of shifts. We've got a lot of games coming up. We're in 4 competitions, so he's going to have the opportunity. He knows in his mind, what he wants to do. Before we just leave the game real quick, and sorry if you guys heard, did you hear my phone ring there? Okay. Sorry about that. It was a very important call. It was Vinny Vieira calling me, really happy that we'd won the game. What about the subs? They had an impact when they came on, did they not? And, it seemed like the game sped up even more for us. A quick overview of the subs who came on and the impact you think they had. Look, whenever substitutes come on, we always want subs to make an impact, don't we? Mm-hmm. Even when Cedric came on, we saw Cedric make a lung-busting 60-yard run with the ball, passed it out, and I think we got an opportunity from that. That's all you could ask for from some of these substitutions that happened. I thought Saka, again, Saka's good. Saka had a couple of chances, didn't he? A couple of times he was offside because he was a little bit eager. Yeah. Again, still think he done fine. I'm going to mention a name, and he wasn't great, but I still think he had a steady game. I thought Kolasinac, had a decent. Apart from the missed open goal. Yeah, look, and we could say it's on his wrong foot, etc., etc. He had a nosebleed being that high up the pitch. But I didn't think he had a bad game. I just think he lacks a little bit of quality in the key areas. But I liked the substitutions. I liked the impetus they gave the team. And I like the way Mikel Arteta adjusted the team. Because it would have been easier to just see the game out. But we didn't. We went for it, which was good. And then also, I thought,
seeing as Thomas Partey and Gabriel have made such a huge impact in such a short space of time, and we all see that they're like beastly giants who can command and control a game. Our defense and our midfield held up pretty well without them. But again, this opposition, they should. But again, this is why you have a squad, right? You have to have players who can come in, who can just duplicate what other players do in other games. Of course, the quality isn't the same, KC, but we didn't kind of come away from the game saying you can't always play Thomas Partey and you can't always play Gabriel. You're going to have to protect those players. But the players who came in did pretty well.
Yeah, look, again, apart from not wanting Xhaka anywhere near the back line, and that's obviously Tierney comes in, El Neni comes in, and the top players, they're from the first 11. Saka's playing in the first 11. These guys. Cedric's been in the first 11 and he's in and out at times. So, getting those players on the pitch makes a difference. But was I even worried a bit about the defense? No, I wasn't. Sophie.
Yeah.
I think that's the point you're trying to make.
Yeah.
And I wasn't worried at the back because I didn't believe Molde had enough to really hurt us.
Yeah,
I really didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't worried when we went 1-0 down. I thought that we would recover. And again, that goes to the quality of the opposition. Okay, we've got you for another 20 minutes here, everybody. Start getting your questions in. I'm trying to keep up with them as much as I can. We don't have our other wing woman today. So I'll try and make...
Yes! Never get a word in edgeways with that one. Princess.
Casey, a couple of stories I want to touch on real quick in our around the Arsenal news here is the comment from Arteta about Saliba, and then Saliba maybe going out on loan. Obviously, he didn't make the squad. Clearly he believes in Pablo Mari, who's had a setback from his injury, so he's not going to be away for a while. His comment was, at the moment, with central defenders we have in the team, we had to leave him out. He believes in David Luiz. Clearly, he's a fan of Holding. Somehow Chambers is still in this team. And obviously, Gabriel is the rock star of all rock stars. But saying he's fed up with the Saliba situation indicated two things to me. Either one, he has apathy towards it, i.e. he doesn't care. Two, it wasn't his guy, and maybe he's not sold on him, and he just wants to hold the mayo on kind of being too overt with his statements. What's your sense in Arteta's tone this week about him and where we go from here with Saliba? Because he is a talent.
Yeah, he's a talent, but I think what the manager had to do, remember, as you quite rightly said, he wasn't his signing. So he's got to have a look at him and evaluate him in training. Now, I seriously believe that Mikel Arteta thinks he needs to go out on loan to learn the communication. I think communication is going to be huge for Saliba. And listen, I don't know what his English is like, but I've heard there's communication issues. Now, as a defender, you've got to be able to communicate. You have to. Now, if you can't communicate properly, that's going to cost you at the top level. So what I heard from Arteta in one of his interviews was a transition year. This is a transition year for us to understand and learn what is required. And, listen, he's the manager. And don't forget, Saliba's 19, 20? He's a baby.
He's young. He's a baby. He really is.
He's done so much playing at Saint-Etienne, etc., and doing so well. But you know what? If he needs a transition year, give him that transition year. Because if he's going to come in and hit the ground running when he is right, I'm happy. But I don't want Arteta to mess the kid about if he don't fancy him, if you know what I mean. I don't think that's the case, by the way. I just think he fancies him, but he thinks he needs a transition. That's all. Yeah.
And, we don't want to talk about his personal situations because we don't know. But apparently he has had quite a significant, personal experience. And that can change people's lives dramatically. I mean, look, we're all human at the end of the day, and you have to take all those things into consideration. Okay, another one here. Keep your questions coming in, guys. I'm going to try and keep up with them. Another one here, though, from me, finishing around the Arsenal news. El Neni talks of contract extension. Who'd have thought we'd be here this time last year or the season prior? He's made a huge impression on Arteta. Arteta sees him as somebody who's going to be integral to his plans. Arteta did say it's too early for him to make any comments on an extended contract for El Neni, but deserved at this point or premature?
I think he's performed going in the right direction, Sophie. I could say that much. He hasn't played a lot of games, but the games he has played very well. Mm-hmm. We can't say that he hasn't played very well. He has played very well. I think to see it over the body of work over probably half a season, I think then you're going to say, yeah, okay, I trust you enough now to give you a new contract. He's going to keep him guessing to start with, and then he's going to kick in. And because you know what, Sophie, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. That combination of him and Partey against Manchester United, and I know Manchester United are not the greatest team right now, but they've still got some wonderful players in that midfield. And them two clamped down everybody. Mm-hmm. They clamped everybody down. And that video of El Neni in the 91st minute chasing that ball, and then it going into the back four, him chasing, and I think it was Lindelof running out of play, and Thomas Partey's clapping it. That, for me, that does it. That for me was the ultimate respect from your teammate. That was brilliant. I love that.
That was I've been wanting to talk to you about, because that when a teammate does that, and at the level Thomas Partey's been, let's be fair, Thomas has been playing at a much higher level than El Neni. El Neni hasn't played as much, and especially in those kind of Champions League games and under someone like Diego Simeone. So to me, it felt like that was the Simeone coaching in Partey coming out as well, Casey, wasn't it?
Your teammate, encourage your teammate. He goes, he chases, he puts the work in, and you encourage him. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Do you know, I was surprised that more Arsenal players never clapped him. I'll be honest with you. Because, when one teammate claps who is respected, it's big. But when 4 or 5 of your teammates clap you, mm-hmm. you get an extra yard.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Mikel Arteta would have seen it, and he would say, listen, guys, that's great work. You've got to make sure. I know you appreciate him, but you clap him. Tell him, well done.
Yeah, it was great.
In the evolution of Arsenal, this is important.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. This is what I'm loving seeing. We seem more fluid. We just seem better as a team unit. It smells like team spirit. It has that vibe all over it. And just to shift gears a little bit, because it does cover this somewhat in terms of respect and how, the team are with each other, but mostly how they are with Mikel Arteta, Casey, is I think it was Roy Keane who made the comment that Aubameyang calling Arteta Mikel showed complete disrespect. Now, you come from an era where you're calling George Graham boss, Don, Godfather, God, whatever it is you're calling Graham and some of your other managers. What was funny? I was watching your story about Brian Clough the other day on YouTube too. I just love that story. What do you make of what Roy Keane said? Of course, he comes from a similar era to you. Are you bothered that Oba called him Mikel or he's called Mikel? Does it matter?
For the traditionalists, it's a respect thing, Mr. Mm-hmm. Clough or Mr. Graham or Mr. Wenger or whoever you want to look at. These were the main guys. But I think Mikel Arteta manages in a different way. He's not one of the lads, but he wants the lads to feel comfortable enough that they could call him by his first name and they could speak. Mm-hmm. So it's just a different way. And you know, in England, Sophie, in the Premier League, certain people are kind of purists. We don't want we want the manager to be the manager. We don't want the players all to be integrated together. So you know, I don't see no problem with it. I was never allowed to call the manager by his first name until I went to Forest and Dave Bassett took over, and he wanted us to call him Harry. You know, and that was cool, but we still called him Gaffer most of the time. But when we're having a laugh and a joke, we said, you know, Harry H. You know, what I mean, we called him that, but the respect was always there. But I understand what Roy Keane's saying. Don't get me wrong. But Mikel wants it that way.
Yeah, I was curious to know, and the modern day is different. You're right. The culture in the Premier League is a little bit different too. But as long as they have that mutual respect, which they certainly do, otherwise Oba would never have signed a new contract. So, one more before we get to some of the listener questions, and we get out. Marcel Lucassen, who has been with the club, I think, since 2018. He was brought in as a technical expert by Per Mertesacker. He had worked with Per under the German international side. He's leaving for family reasons. And Luke Hobbs, who's been there for a while and done some great things at the club, is going to step into his position. Just wanted to ask you, especially as you came through as an academy player, does something like that disrupt anything in terms of kind of where we're going, what we're doing? I think Mikel has a stronghold on what he wants to do. Clearly, he and Per and the other leaders have an idea of what they want to do. Luke Hobbs seems to be someone who's well respected at the club and has done good things. Just wanted to get your take as an academy player, if there's anything that kind of, do you miss a beat, or if there's a disruption when something like that happens?
No, well, there shouldn't be. Now, I would say if there was, people are not doing their jobs, and the players couldn't be as prepared as they should be. So doesn't matter who is doing the coaching, who leaves, who comes in. As an Arsenal man, you know what's needed, you know what's required, you know your job. You understand what is required of you at the Arsenal, and that doesn't matter. The guy going out is great. He's done a good job. The guy who's taken over is going to do an equally good job. You as a player, you've just got to be ready. And I'm sure they won't miss a beat.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've been wanting to see, right, in the changing of the DNA, the evolution of the DNA and the culture, because Arsenal Football Club has the pedigree, but our DNA and culture has shifted since the end of the Wenger era, going into the Emery era, and now Arteta is just shifting that along and putting his stamp on this team. And what I love about what he's doing, he's making the team an image of himself. And as you know, with some of the great coaches you've played under, the team has to become an image of their manager. And that's what I'm liking seeing right now, Casey, more and more each week, is that he's doing that.
It's got to reflect the manager, Sophie, you're right. But you know what also it's got to do? And I mean this, it's got to reflect the fan base. It's got to reflect. We don't want an Arsenal who are just going to pass the ball sideways. We want an aggressive Arsenal, don't we? We love it when the team goes into tackles. We love it when the team run and the team are creating chances and looking dangerous. That's what we love. And we love this. We love the centre midfielder who can do it all, and we love the centre back who's a beast. We love that.
Yeah.
We have that now. But it's a matter of piecing it all together. There needs to be a few more additions, of course, but the actual structure of it, we could start to see now. Snapshot, we're seeing it.
All right, cool. So we've done the game. We've done our around the Arsenal news. Here we get to some questions, KC. Here's one from DT for you. Kev, why didn't Runnison start tonight? What if Leno gets injured? The boy needs games. What's your thoughts on that one?
I just think Leno's was out such a long time. Leno wants to play. He doesn't want to be on no sideline. And don't forget, he's seeing the number 2 in Emmy come in and do so well. Let's have it right. Yeah. And if he ever got injured and Runarsson does well, then he's got another fight on his hands, hasn't he? So you ain't getting no games. I need the games. So that's why.
Okay. Then we have one here from Keenan Gann. How did you find the team pressing during this Molde match? I love the way we were still suffocating Molde in the 80-plus minutes. A little bit of what you were saying about how Elneny was still running after the ball in injury time against Man United, right?
Yeah, I like that. And you know, from the first half, I didn't think the press was that good. But in the second half, because we were committing more men forward, and because we're playing forward, when we lose the ball, you've got more people up there to get it back, if that makes sense. And, you know, Mikel Arteta is a clever guy. What does he do? He takes off Xhaka and Ceballos and stuff, and he brings on Elneny. Elneny's on. You got Kieran Tierney going on, who's got good legs, who love to press and love to get close to people. You've got Willock in there as well, who loves to do that. So, you know, you are talking about a good energy in the team, and they done it right to the end. They did.
Right.
They did the team down, hunted Molde down.
And I know this player has had a lot of stick, and he did miss a sitter tonight. But Why Me wants to know, KC, your thoughts on Kolasinac's future. Someone laughingly posted something right after saying what future, but what do you think of Kola?
Yeah, I think there was talk of him going back to Germany in the summer. It didn't quite work out. And I truly believe he doesn't have the quality. He's athletically, he's very good. But I don't think he's got the quality to really make a difference in this team. And fair enough, the ball fell on his right foot and he put it over. That could happen. It's his wrong foot. Should hit the target, obviously, but didn't. But you know, the amount of times he gets into good positions in the opposition box, in and around it, and the delivery is poor, isn't good enough. That's what's not good enough for me. If he could find a red shirt once out of 3 times in the
That would
box,
be nice.
we would score a lot more goals. We would
Yeah.
score a lot more goals. So he gets there, but the end product is lacking. So I could see whether it's January or the end of the season.
Bye-bye. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to find a great cross with a map and a compass. I mean, it really is quite amazing. Here's one for you from Jean-René and Shooty. We are going to do a game before Villa. We are going to do our pre-game. But why not throw this in there real quick, KC, based on everyone coming off? You know, does Pepe start? Does Willock get a chance? What are you thinking, formation-wise?
Formation-wise, Aston Villa, I think they're going to go 5-3 at the back, 4-3, 3-4-3, I think. Because the way Jack Grealish plays, a fullback could engage him first, other than a centre half. Because if we push the fullback forward too much, Jack Grealish is one-on-one on the outside.
We'll get punished.
Yeah, we'll get punished in the end. We don't need that. And it'll be Rob Holding, and Rob Holding at times will defend properly, but Grealish, we know he's a good player. He will beat him at some stages, and that will expose us at the back. So I could see 5, but I could see 3-4-3, which obviously is a 5. But he might tweak something in the midfield to have a little bit more stability in there.
So what do you think about Cash? He's saying, what about putting Lakaroba, Pepe in the front 3? Then you got Willian, Maitland-Niles in the midfield next to Thomas and Elneny. I think he's trying to go for a 4-4-2 here, but
he's got too many players, hasn't he?
I think so.
Look, if he wants a front 3, then you can't have a 4-4-2, can you?
Exactly.
Yeah. But I understand what he's saying. Okay, if you had Elneny, Partey, and Willian could play either side and be the runner, but then you can't have then you have to have a back 4. I just think Arsenal like Gabriel being the free man. But listen, they performed. They played well at Old Trafford, well enough at Old Trafford to say we can go with a flat back 4. So it could be 4-2-3-1 or whatever like that.
Yep. Here's one from Paramod. As we've more or less qualified for Europa, do you think it's time to give some of the youngsters a shot? Obviously, we've seen Blogan do really well. We've seen Emil, do well out on loan too. Both of them have. I think a lot of Arsenal fans believe in these two young players in particular. Casey, can you see Arteta throwing them in there?
When they're qualified, possibly, because obviously there's nothing really riding on it. And you got to remember, Arteta sees these boys every day. They probably train with the team. And it's about trust. With a manager, it's about trust. And because he's a young manager and he's learning on the job, if he doesn't trust you enough, because remember, Willock, we're saying Willock probably deserves more time. But there's times where he's not even on the bench. So I can't see Smith Rowe getting on the bench or Balogun getting on the bench before a Willock. But, these are the games when we qualified where, go on, let's see what you can do. You just might be pleasantly surprised when they play, but they're playing with no pressure on it. Because Balogun scoring goals in the under-23s and he's looking the business, but being in the first team is totally different. Everybody's quick, everybody's strong, everybody can read it. So, again, he's going to have to find his feet there. Smith Rowe's had a taste of it. He knows what it is. I can't wait to see him because that 6 months he had at Huddersfield, I'm sure done him the world of good.
Oh, yeah. And he was great there. They loved him there. Okay, so here's one from one of our biggest champions here, FIFA boy Darren. I thought I'd shift it from tactical and formation because you are an inspiration to all of us, Super Kev. And if anyone can get us motivated, definitely as part of this squad, it's you. I don't know what game Darren would be talking about, but maybe in general, like what kind of halftime manager would you be? Did you love managers too? Just to jump in, that went at players or the players had talk? That's a great question.
No, it depends. Look, if you as a player, if you've played bad, you know it. As a team or individually, you know it. I like managers who, if you're having a bad game, will say, "Oi, what's wrong with you? Come on, you're better than that." Listen, look who you're playing against. I want you to be positive. I like managers who are positive. And I like managers who, when things are going great, they keep everybody on balance. Because you don't want the team getting too far ahead of themselves. And if you're 3-0 up at halftime, you don't want a manager coming in and say, look, it's the same old football talk. And I'm sure we're going to get some chat when I say this. It's 0-0, lads. It's second half, it's 0-0. How could it be 0-0? We're 3-0 up. No, you say, look, it's 3-0. Let's not do anything stupid, but I want 5. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't do nothing stupid, but I want 5. Let's take it to them when we can, but we're not gonna open the back door. So I'd be that type of manager. I wouldn't be ranting and raving. If the team would play bad, I'd say, what's up with us? I'd ask the question, what's up with us? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Come on, liven up. Yeah, liven up.
And even if you're 4-0 up, you'd still say to them it's 0-0.
No, I wouldn't say that because
okay.
I hate that.
Okay.
Because look, Sophie, think about it. You're 4-0 up, you're buoyant, you come in, you sit down. The manager's gonna turn around and tell you, look, lads, it's 0-0. It's not 0-0, you're 4-0 up.
So basically that's a load of bollocks when we hear that sometimes.
Exactly. Many guys, many of the boys and girls who watch, who have been involved with football for years would know that shout. Oh, it's 0-0, lads. It's not 0-0. It's never 0-0. But it's the mindset of, we are 4-0 up, but you're not gonna take it easy. How many times do you see that? Teams take it easy, don't they? And then the opposition score 1 and score 2, and the next minute you're scrambling. No.
Yeah. It's called going Spursy.
Well, we don't do that, do we?
No, we don't. No. Here's one from James. We'll get you out here in a couple minutes, KC. I know that you've been traveling. And Kevin, would the ultimate man manager arm around words of encouragement love his lads? When we're on the coach home, he's the first one opening the Peronis. It's a little incomplete. James, I don't know what you quite mean, but I think what you're asking is about man managers, arm around you, and he ends up having a beer with you, or do you like that?
Yeah, that's what he's done.
Yeah,
the camaraderie and management ties in with the team. So you like one of the lads, but obviously they know where to draw the line. I think is where James is saying.
Yeah.
I think again, it's a bit maybe like Arteta, the way Arteta is. But if I listen, you know me already, Sophie. I'm ruthless.
Yes,
I am ruthless. And if a player isn't towing the line, if a player isn't towing the line, come and see me in my office.
Yeah, I like it.
And then I'll read him the right act, and I'll say, "Listen, you're not good. You've not been good enough."
Yeah.
So I'm going to drop you. I'm going to drop you, but I want you to buck your ideas up because you're better than that. At the end of the day, Sophie, you have to put it back on the players' toes because once they cross that white line, the players have to be the ones who perform for you as a manager. And
they're the ones in the trenches at that point.
They're the ones in the trenches, and isn't it amazing? Some of the same players who were doing that before Arteta came are either floating or going up.
Well, look, what I love about some of these questions, and there's a few that have come through asking you about your coaching badges and stuff like that, KC, but I'd like to cover that in some of our shows next week because...
You're going to announce now?
Shall we? Do you think it's time?
Yeah, go on, announce it. Go on.
All right, lovely. So as of next week, as of Monday, Highbury Squad Radio will be coming to you. And by that, what do I mean, everybody? It means that just like you tune into Talk Radio or Radio 5 Live or Talk Sport, we're going to get our YouTube channel going live every single day. We'll be tuning in. We'll be looking at the news of the day, not only for Arsenal, but also football. You'll get the opportunity on certain days to have all the time with KC asking him questions. We're going to be dissecting social media, what players are saying, what people are saying, a quote of the week, pictures of the week. We'll have some short fire interviews as well, but we will also still continue of one of those shows, mostly in the evenings, being our dedicated preview show as well. And of course, we'll still be bringing you our post-game show. So the good news is, as of Monday, we're going live every single day. We'll give a little slice of ourselves to you and you to us, and we can't wait for it. Right, KC?
Buzzing. It's about time. It's about that time, Sophie. It's about time. People want to get more of us.
Yeah, we've been loving all the support and the way the channel has been evolving, and we always promised that we'd give and bring more content to you. That includes the next episode of our Evergreen series, which is going to drop in the next couple of weeks as well. We'll have like a player boot room where we'll get KC and another player on, just talking tactics for you and analytics. Really exciting stuff, and I think you guys are going to be really enjoying the type of content that we're going to be bringing to you as well.
Also, Sophie, because of the situation with the lockdown. And
there you go. I thought I'd let you handle that one, KC.
Yeah, because of the lockdown, what's going on, everybody. And we know, listen, it's challenging for a lot of people. It is challenging. So we're going to give up some of our time, and it may be a little slot. Going to give people words of encouragement as well, because anybody who follows us on Twitter or any of the social media know we are big into helping people and empowering people. So we're going to try and build this family. We're going to try and help the family. So I think that's really important during the lockdown.
And Lee just said it too. It's really perfectly put. These are not easy times. These are really challenging times for so many of us. And Casey's our motivator. We've got and PG, of course, and myself. We're loving that he's part of the squad, and what we're going to be able to do together is going to be fantastic. And look, we're here for each other. We try to be as positive as we can be, even when we play poorly. We try to see the positives in it as much as we can. So, watch out for that. Links will be coming soon. We're also going to have our pre-show game. We'll announce that tomorrow when our Aston Villa pre-show game is. We'll be doing a post-game show, whoever's available. PG will be back Sunday night after Aston Villa. So you'll get your weekly dose of Princess Guna as well. Our little machine on Twitter over there. And so, yeah, we're super excited. So thank you so much, Casey, to you as well. And it's true. It's all about the Guna family, wherever that post went. I think it's right here. There you go. Right there.
That's quality. That it is. And you know what? It is about the Guna family. Always is. Well, listen, we laugh and joke with PG, but she's a tremendous addition to this squad. Couldn't loan her out, and we welcome her back, Sophie, don't we? We welcome her back, especially going full time virtually. So
listen, even if we tried to send PG out on loan, it would never ever happen. She's a keeper. She's a keeper. We jest and we joke, like you say, but yeah,
nobody wanted her.
She's our Ozil. Ozil. I just don't think you understand.
She's as controversial as Ozil. I know that much.
She sure is. Well, listen, until the pre-game show, and then PG will be back on the post-game show. There's only one thing to say, KC. Great analysis tonight. Superb stuff. Great conversation. And until then.
Listen, it's always the Gunners, always up the Arsenal. Go on.